Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Junkin' for Joy podcast. I'm Dr. Gayla, and I have a very special guest with me today that I am excited to have on. Of course, I love having all the guests on because y'all know I love to talk and have fun. Our podcast is a place where we talk about creativity, spirituality, life coaching, connection, and creativity. All of those things make a big difference to us. So today we have Dr. Erica Roesch, one of my best friends, here with us today. And I'm excited for her story, her journey, and everything that's going to come off of this. So we always go on the fly. We have impactful conversations, soulful conversations, and wherever they go, they go. So welcome. Welcome, Erica.
This is awesome. I'm so excited to see you, to have this conversation, to see you smiling. It's just amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, because you were here and you heard me say, I kind of want to start a podcast. I want to talk. I want to use my gifts. And you were like, do it. And you remember that's about a year ago
Yeah. Yeah. And here we are.
that we started talking about this. And here we are. Exactly. So thank you for walking the journey with me.
Of
And
course.
one of many journeys. And y'all, we don't have time to talk about all the journeys we've walked together because we have walked several. We are truly like the Sam and Frodo of the world.
That is such a good way of putting it. I mean, 20 years of walking, you do a lot of journeying.
Yes, well, we're going to talk about more than walking today, but just share with everyone what you want them to know about you. Introduce yourself, talk about some of
Yeah.
the things that bring you joy and all those good things today.
Well, it's always interesting when somebody asks you that question because I think it depends on where you're at in your journey and where, what's the top of where you're going and where you're headed right now. So, a little bit about me. I met Gayla in residency. That's how we met. So, I am a retired family physician. Gayla was my senior resident, which was awesome.
Survive.
Um, and for the past 7 years, since I retired from medicine in 2018, I have been I thought going through medical school training and residency was an adventure. The past 7 years have been an adventure in a good way. But bottom line is I am a life coach. I am a mom of three and I homeschooled them for a while. I spend my days now living in a way that feels so authentic and real to me that it's almost like you sit there and go, is this true? Is this really true? Where I get to have amazing conversations like this one, spend time with people who are really going for it and doing something for humanity that is beyond what we can even fathom. And then being extremely present for my family and my kids and myself and taking really good care of myself. If that's honestly where I'm at right now. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So that's a little bit about me at this current juncture in my journey.
Yes. Would you like to share a little bit about where you came from? So now we have this healed, walk several nights of the soul, experience
Yeah.
and all of the good, the bad, the ugly that we all had to face, or chose to face, I should say. But where did you come from? What were some of the hurdles that you've overcome to create this moment in time today?
Yeah. Um, I would say that's a very loaded question, Dr. Gayla Gates. But I would say where I came from. And I think this is the piece that when you asked me to speak, there's a part of my heart that's very open and with a lot of compassion for those who may be where I was. And I'm still it's still a work in progress by all stretch of the imagination. I mean, there's no perfection here. But I didn't even really fully understand what joy was. I think I'm really coming into a season of my life where I'm starting to get it, to understand it. I knew I wanted to be a physician from a very young age. So I was a very driven person, very committed. I truly felt God was calling me to do that. And I could outline all the ways where I could prove that to be true, where by metrics and things of that nature, one would have said, she wasn't going to make it. And I did. And that's how I met you. But along that journey, I think I created which served a benevolent purpose. There's no right or wrong about it. But part of what I needed to do to get to that place was to create strategies and protection around myself that were very, what's the word I want to, like, walled off to other, like, right. So perfectionism, I mean, to do what we did, we studied a lot. Like, you give up a lot to do that. I was not the best at being able to find like times for exploration and adventure. It was more, I think my survival strategy was to keep studying, keep studying, keep studying. And so in that pattern, I think I really skipped over part of my life where people explore things. In college, I did. I should say that. In college, I went to DC and lived there for a summer. I went down to Duke's Marine Lab for a summer. Kind of like that adventurous part of me was there. But once I hit med school, especially during class time, I tuned a lot of that out. My outlet during that time has always been moving my body. I would work out every day with a bunch of my friends, my now husband, that type of thing. But I think if you ask where I came from and what I've overcome to get here was a really highly controlled way of seeing the world where I tried to control every variable by predicting and protecting. And that's a whole nother, that's a whole other topic in and of itself. But in that control, I've had to relearn, or like you said, I chose to relearn, to rewire my nervous system, my body to a place where I can release control and I can allow mystery and a little bit of fascination and curiosity and wonder and like, wonder where this is going today. I don't think I would have said that 10, 12 years ago. You know me then. Like, it was more like, what do we got to do today? Here's the list. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And so I think that's been one of the, and it still is, like, it comes up all the time. I'm not saying it's ever fully gone. It just gets lighter and easier to carry that backpack, so to speak. But when your backpack gets lighter, you can fill it with other things, right? And so I've now opened the door for myself to be like, who am I? What do I like to do? What's really fun? What does bring me joy? How do I sit here and essentially do nothing and find joy in that? Like, that's been a skill. Let's be real. That has been something, that's a muscle I've had to strengthen. You've walked that journey with me. So I hope that answers your question of what you were asking.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong with it. We just really know that there are so many of our colleagues that are still grinding, that are still hustling, that are still in adrenal fatigue, that are still in fight or flight. And you went through your own version of that. You went through your own body crashing and waking up like something's got to give. And, I don't know how much of that you want to share, but,
Oh,
sharing what you went through physically, because we interview and talk to a lot of doctors on this podcast.
Yeah.
So we think about our fellow physicians that are still in
Yeah.
the industry, and maybe they'll hear your story and what made you decide, oh man, something has to change or I won't be here. Would you care to share a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, the brief version is I had my first child at the age of 30 and did the whole doctor thing where you wait till you got a residency and then you start thinking about having kids, and I almost, both of us almost didn't make it. I had severe HELLP syndrome. I was rushed to the OR, had to have platelets, FFP, the whole 9 yards, general anesthesia, minute to get this baby out. God bless the amazing OB who was post call and did a phenomenal job. And we both made it. And, that was like, oh, just chalk it up. Like, that's just something that happens to you, And then my second pregnancy was probably uncomplicated, but my third pregnancy was complicated again. And to tie it all together, my platelets bottomed out when I had HELLP syndrome and they never recovered fully. It recovered enough that I could have a repeat C-section with my second. And my whole third pregnancy I was seeing hematology being followed. And by the grace of God, my platelets rebounded enough to allow me to have a regular section and didn't have to go under general again. But it was really, that didn't even faze me still. Like, that didn't even faze me, to be honest with you. Like, it was still like I was in the motions and like, this is just what we do. Like, almost, I think you do go into like this mama bear kind of thing and you just do what you got to do. Right. But it was really hit me afterward, 3 months, 6 months, and the numbers weren't coming back up postpartum. And I saw a hematologist like, well, you just have autoimmune thrombocytopenia. And I'm like, why do I have this doesn't click for me. And then that was in 2014 when I had my third child. And then in 2015, I went to a functional medicine summit. And it was the first time I've ever heard a different way of seeing the body and root cause, and is a totally different thing. And I sat there going, whoa, this isn't just what has to be on my chart. Like there's something going on here at the root that isn't aligned with what my body is asking and needs for homeostasis. And so I did all the stuff. I did the elimination diets, and all that helped some other things, but my platelets still never recovered. Now that was one metric. I think when you asked me what made me really say something needs to change, it was a culmination of things. I was getting these visions of being in yoga pants and practicing with people, like doing stuff with my people I'm working with, and like, which was not the protocol of the place I was working. It was very professionally dressed, white coat, the whole 9 yards. And that was happening at the same time. My second son, who I just adore, obviously all of my children, but he was in kindergarten, and I was getting these notes back of like, I think we might need to get him evaluated for ADHD. And I'm like, this kid does not have ADHD. I treat ADHD. This is not what this kid has. Like, he just needs a different approach. Like, he needs me. We, at the time, had an amazing, and still had for a long time after that, one of the most amazing women in our life as our nanny, who I could not have asked, brings tears in my eyes, for a more wonderful person to be with my children when I wasn't there. But it's still not me. And there was a disconnect. And I just got this deep knowing. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes. Still, like in my heart, like something has to change. Like there's a window. And there's a window here. Mm-hmm. And like, I have a choice point of what do I do? Like, and it's always our choice. And then, like I've always shared with you, my amazing beloved patient who I've walked so much with, she came into me one day. And I really do think that this is what happens to a lot of us. Like, we get the nudges, we get the knowings, we get it's time to go. This is complete, all these different things culminating. And then something happens. Sometimes it's a crash, but for me, it was her saying to me, to straight up, we're looking right in right through you, like kind of, Dr. Roesch, first of all, she said, you don't look good today. And you, like, basically she called me out. Like, you don't look good. Like, this is not good. And then she said, God is telling me it's time for you to go. And that was when I just knew, like, I knew something. I didn't know the timing yet, but I knew, like, this is coming to an end. And then, of course, you walk all of the stuff that happens after that when you make that decision. But you're like, that's how I got to that place. And on a secondary note, my platelets recovered 6 to 8 months after I left medicine. And my body has started to really heal, and I've taken a lot better care of I've learned a lot, it's not just in the functional medicine. It's not just the other things on the functional medicine paradigm actually probably matter more than our food plan and what our gut microbiome looks like. You know what I mean? Like, that's what my past 7 years have really taught me. All those things are important. Do not get me wrong. But if the foundation of our health and our nervous system and our inner knowing and our being is not where it needs to be, we can eat the most amazing organic food in the world, and we're still not getting necessarily to where we know we are truly in what I would call homeostasis, where you're just in this beautiful balance. And it comes up and down. Life, there's still life. Don't get me wrong. I have 3 kids that play a ton of sports, and things are really crazy sometimes, but it's a different kind of feeling now.
Yeah, good for you. Because those are the hard decisions that we have to make sometimes. Sometimes they're life or death decisions. And there's somebody out here who is praying for answers. And we always think of that person who is having to make a life or death decision. And we just want them to know that there is life on the other side of that decision. If you make the choice, you do the work, you get the resources, because I'm always proud to say that we met like this for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Every Thursday. Mm-hmm. For sometimes hours. Yeah. We had each other.
And I do think it is a death. I think that's the piece that is the hardest part of the journey, there's a part of you that is dying. I mean, we worked hard. We like, if that's somebody's choice, that's where they're getting guided to go, right? No matter what's coming to completion, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
We've had parents that lives have come to completion, right? Like it doesn't matter what it is coming to completion. I think there's an honoring that it does feel like a death. And just, I feel like part of my mission now is to normalize what it really does feel like. Like, yes, you are totally capable of doing anything that you put your mind to, that you know is in your heart, is where you're being guided to go, is 100% possible. And we are also human. And there's a human part of us navigating this journey, and that can feel really, really hard.
Yes, that's something I was actually writing down in my brain. I didn't take the time to put it on my paper, but that we are human. And
Mm.
sometimes I think we are so trained that we forget we're human. And sometimes you need that grit. You need that kind of, I don't know how to describe it because you just become it. You need that version of yourself to get through, but then you got to know how to turn it off and be like, oh, yeah, I am human. I do have all these feelings and emotions, and I do get tired. And, and to have others who are spiritually connected say to us, it's time, like,
Yeah.
and we really have to honor that it's time for something to come so to completion. And so we have learned a lot about grief in this journey. We've walked the journey of what grief looks like in all different facets of grief and what it looks like and how it feels, and it's not the same, and you're not the same. You walk around with how many little scars in your
Yeah.
heart and and
Yeah.
in your nervous system that you have memories. You die, but you don't forget.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the beautiful things we've walked. So now that you have been retired for how many years?
Oh my gosh, that was 2018. It's 2026.
Yeah,
Wowzers. It'll be eight
exactly.
years in July. Oh my goodness.
Almost 10 years, and life has
Yeah.
changed a lot since then for you, but you've been able to now recover your time in a
Hmm.
way that you hadn't before and decide how your time is going to be used and be very intentional about it, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about some of the fun, adventurous things that you have been doing because, like you said earlier, you're driven. We're driven people. We don't just sit around and do nothing. Our brain would probably just go berserk. So let's talk a little bit about some of your, I don't want to call them hobbies because I know they're more than that, but let's talk about some of the things you really love to do that
Yeah.
are on the adventurous side of the coin.
Yeah. Well, for me, even as it, so just as I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like even as a teenager, when I was playing sports, I went to a really small school. I was a pretty decent athlete, but the odds of me going to like a big school or making a national team of anything was about 0 to 0, right? However, my whole ceiling of my room when I was a teenager was I don't even remember, like Running Magazine, Outdoor Magazine, like all these magazines, because back then magazines were like really big, right? We didn't have, I mean, we're kind of old. Like
I
this was
know
in the
we didn't have the
90s.
internet. Yes, right.
So I would save my money and buy these magazines. And I remember having pictures of like Gabrielle Reese, like the sand volleyball player, like just like
Mm.
all of these people on, and like people hiking mountains and like on my ceiling. Like this is the life I want to live.
Yes.
But it's really fascinating because then I was called and I just committed to medicine, which really, I mean, I live in Ohio. It's a pretty flat place around here. Like, there's not a lot of ups and downs, so to speak. And these pictures was kind of like, but there's this part of me that like truly loves being outside, loves pushing my body. And so I feel like that's one of the things that has really come online. And before it was, I trained for a marathon in med school. I did these things. And I think it was more like a counterbalance to the stress. It wasn't from a place of this lights me up, right? I'm doing this for me. It was more like, well, this will be great. I'll have X amount of hours in the library and I'll run for X amount of hours, like more analytical than like passion driven. And so over the past couple of years, I have really entered into my body and turned my body back on, frankly, because to make it through medicine for me personally, I turn it off. Like to be that tired and to deal with that much true grief and trauma from, I mean, from some of the patient encounters, just people that you get connected to. And we've all walked it as physicians. There's a lot of complex layers to that some days, if you let yourself feel it, you wouldn't get out of bed, So I think for me personally, I turned a lot off, especially to be able then to be a mom of young kids and then do this. It was a very numbed place, maybe that functional freeze you hear people talk about. I think that's what I was truly living in. And so it started by just starting to get outside more. And then it was during, I think, the winter of 2020. Yeah. My son asked me to watch, because we were all stuck at home. We had this huge snowstorm. The World's Toughest Race, which was on Prime. It's Bear Grylls, and it was an adventure race, the Eco Challenge, which is a multi-day adventure race. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. You work in teams. You know me, I love people and I love working as a team. So you have to work as a team. And then you have all these different modalities and you're challenged and you have to navigate in the middle of the night by yourself. Like, if you need to watch something that inspires you, it's a really good series, by the way. And I'm like, I know I need to try to do this. Like, I want to challenge myself to do this. And so then in 2021, my, sister and her husband, my brother-in-law and my cousin, we did our first adventure race, a 6-hour adventure race. And it was, it was tough. It was a challenge on so many levels. And then we did another one in November. So I've done 2 of them now. I think I will get to the place where I return back, because for me personally, it was a place where I was really pushing my body really hard. I went to my edge, and there was a recovery period after them. But the lessons I learned and the exhilaration of, the best part was you didn't have to stay on any trails. Like, you got to literally hike into the middle of the woods to find these flags. And then you had to paddle, and we had to mountain bike, and it was just amazing. So that is something that has truly been, something I truly enjoy, which is the adventure race, but I've really come to know it's actually the endurance part of it. I love, as you know, studying people who run and do endurance races like Goggins and these guys that do 50s, 100s, Moab 240. I was just watching a documentary on it the other day. And I really know that that's my next leg, is to start training my body to, what is it like to live the life of an endurance athlete, and see my life through that lens and start training to do that. Longer hikes. I've climbed mountains. I have some goals this summer to get to some way bigger mountains than I've ever climbed before that will really challenge me. I find that moving my body like that pushes me to my place where my mind, like if you really listen to any of endurance race athletes, most of them will tell you they do it for a singular reason. Well, one is to see what they're capable of, but the other part is it's where they get to be with them and God. Like, there's no veil anymore. Like, you get to keep going, and to go that long, it's you and you in the middle of the night and God. Like, that's it. And it's a very, I just enjoy being in that space. So I find ways to put myself in that space, which, could be from jumping on the Peloton, as you know, to hiking in the woods by myself and getting lost and in some metro park and finding my way out, which, I just really enjoy that. And, I think that's what also drove me to start scuba diving, because that is a place where, your brain is like, this does not compute with survival. You are going underwater where we can't breathe for long periods of time. And I understand we have equipment, but truly, I think that's one of the greatest hurdles I had to get over. And I think a lot of people is, it does, like, your whole body is going, this doesn't compute. You know what I mean? Like, there's like this like anxiety within you. And when you really let yourself go to that space and settle in, there is a peace and the calmness, at least for me. And it's, yes, the ocean is amazing, but it's the internal part of it. Does that make sense? That you get by doing those things. So for me, and that's why I, geek out, like I said, on these studying athletes and talking about this stuff and studying fight or flight and watching, people's processes. That's who I coach. It's all about, going to the next level of your edge and doing it. I think before I learned how to do it in my, my first leg of my journey, as I'd like to say, through push and through hustle and through grind and like, you gotta. And I think this leg of my journey is learning how to do that from self-kindness and love and compassion and ease, to really enjoy the journey, not just the destination, right? My first leg was getting to the destination, and that was a great leg, and that was awesome. And I did that and checked that box. And now this is like, okay, great. We know we can make it. So what is it like now to enjoy the process, to enjoy even the moments where you're not feeling so hot and your body's hurting and you want to quit, like to feel truly alive, right? That's what that really is. Like you feel truly alive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what's lighting me up now.
Exactly. And it's really very interesting because the same characteristics that got us through residency that we had to become, your brain is programmed to keep going. Your brain is programmed to find ways, find that extra little bit of energy that you can squeeze out. And you can do this in something that you're loving at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's not just scuba diving. Tell us a little bit about how you have to, what you have to invest in, how you have to prepare, how you, what type of training you do, because it's not, you don't just go and jump off any old boat, and just go somewhere. So talk a little bit about how you found scuba and why you chose scuba diving to do as one of your adventures.
Yeah. So all growing up, even before I was born, my dad was a scuba diver, and he all of my childhood he would teach. He became a teacher, and actually even into up until he actually passed in 21, all the way up until that he was a master. I don't even know the like highest level teacher, an instructor and trainer. And I'd always, and this is my other piece of encouragement, I'd always say, well, one day I'll get to that, because you can't really scuba dive when you're pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant. And so I had this big chunk of my life when I started to have, because income to invest, right, in scuba and all, and this, and the time, a little bit more time. And then and actually fascinatingly, about 3, 4 months before he passed away, I sat down and had a call with him, like, okay, what's it going to take to get us all certified? What do we need to do? Right? What are the class? Like really being like, okay, it's time for us to do this. And with him to teach us. And then that opportunity didn't come.
Yeah.
Um, but it was more one of those moments of like, really like you got to seize the moment when you're getting the knowing that it's time to do something. I feel like that was a lesson I learned. I know that's not what you asked me, but just as a sidebar, that was a lesson I learned of when you're getting the nudge and you're getting don't wait, because I'm not saying that time will always pass you by, but there's a possibility that it could. And sometimes we wait because it's just easier to not do it. It's easier not to put in the effort. It's easier not to invest the money. It's easier, right? Like it is easier, right? Straight up, it's easier, right? Because to scuba, you take online classes, then you do classroom work, then you do pool work. Then I went into a quarry in 50-degree weather, 50-degree water with a 7 mil wetsuit on, which is not the easiest thing to get into, by the way. And then for a whole weekend to do open water checkout dives. And then I've gotten my advanced certification. So I've done more classes on top of that. So there is a commitment. Like it is a commitment. You are saying, I'm investing in this. And I think when you are in that numb phase, when I was, just the idea, even though it was my dad, even though it was something I knew in my heart I wanted to do from a young age, it was like this mountain that just felt insurmountable to climb. Just be
Why?
honest with you, because
Why
of,
did it feel that way?
well, just because the time, to be honest with you, was the time. It was the commitment of time and figuring out when with my kids, how am I going to get there? How am I going to do this? You know me, that's kind of, time is my thing. That's what has been kind of my fight or flight thing that kicks in is time. And I don't think at that point I really had understood. I think my dad's, leaving this earth as he did was a real like testament to, man, we've seen a lot of patients transition, but like life is precious. And I was 41 at the time. I'm almost 46 now. And like, okay, my dad was 68. Like that's young
Mhm.
in my book. To me, I wouldn't even classify that as, even as a physician, that's young. Like, you know what I mean? Like he
Yes.
lived a young life. Like he was a very active man. And so you look at somebody and you're like, whoa, we're here for a finite experience on this planet. And you have to decide what that finite experience is going to be for you. And so it really motivated me to be like, okay, I'm doing this. And I got certified before my husband. And then it was really cool because I went, and what we do, our family has done, and what my dad would always do with his best friend, who ended up certifying me and my sisters, is go spend a week on a dive boat, which I think is one of the coolest ways to dive. And you get a lot. I mean, it's intense. You dive 5 times a day if you want. You get a lot of experience in a week's period of time. And it's helped me to become a decent diver, like in a short period of time. But then the next year, my husband was like, I want to do this too. And so now we've gone together, which has been really cool. And really, just speaking about the truth of the matter, when you have 3 kids, you have commitments and you have to have somebody, his parents come and watch them for us, which is amazing. And for me, I had to navigate getting over, like, I need to ask for help I'm going to this checkout dive for a weekend. We need to figure out who's going to help us. Cause I'm going, like, this is a yes for me. This is really important. And I'm going to figure out how this is going to work with our family. And it always does. It always does. But prior to my dad passing, I think I would have been like, oh, that's just too much. Like, it's too much to navigate how I'm going to get them all to their games and step away from life and do all of this stuff. But when you're really committed and you really want it, it works out. It truly does. So there is, like I said, your original question was there is some rigmarole to get certified to scuba for sure. And there's an investment in equipment. And then when you travel, I mean, you're traveling with 2 big bags. And I mean, I personally love it because you know me, I love gear and I love backpacks and I love all of the things that, I mean, if I could go buy a whole new scuba bag right now just to pick out a new scuba bag, that would be like amazing. I mean, some people like to go shopping for clothes. I would go shopping for
Yeah.
camping gear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part of you that you are able to do now because of those decisions that you made 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago that your soul was pulling you towards. And it's not just get on a dive boat. You would tell us some of the places you get to go or where you get to go and travel and what you get to see when you decide to become a scuba diver. Because I bet there's someone out here who really is like, I want to do something like that. But all I see is the people on TV. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know who to talk to about how to do it. And just because I've seen some of your photos and I was amazed. So what's it like when you are traveling? Like, give us a day in the life of when you leave, you get on a plane and you go where, and what it's like when you are doing this for 4 or 5 days. Give us an idea of what it's like.
Yeah. Well, I've been on different dive boats. So you can have dive boats that are more primitive, which I would say are like kind of like RV camping, which I've done. And you can have dive boats where you have your own bathroom and you have, so you get to pick your experience of what you want. Both of them, I think, are really cool and have their, benefits on all sides. I think it's neat to experience all of the gamut of what's available. My next dreams are to go to like to the Maldives or Indonesia or somewhere like that. But mainly my diving has been in the Caribbean. So I've gone to the Bahamas and I've gone to the Caymans, and we're headed to Belize this next coming fall. So the life of a dive boat is it's really neat. You are on a boat and you don't go back to shore for 7 days unless something is needed, which means you're out in the middle of the ocean. And there are some barrier islands, depending on where you're at, that you might be anchored by. But for the most part, you just see water. And the vastness that you wake up to and you go to sleep with is just unfathomable. But the actual schedule on the dive boats I've been on is you're up by, and this is all optional. You could sleep in and skip the dives, but you know me, I tend to do all the dives. So, you're up by like 7, breakfast at 7:30. You're in the water by 8. You're out of the water by 9. You're getting a snack. You're back in the water by 10. You're out by 11:30. You're eating lunch. You're back in the water by 1:32. You're back out. You're back in by 4. You come back out. You have dinner. You go back, and there's night dives. Now I love the night dives, which is a whole other level of fight or flight getting over. But the stuff you see at night is so cool. Octopus and just you can't see during the day. So then there's a night dive and you get back in around like 9:30, and usually they have hot chocolate waiting for you. And then you go to bed. Now you could do any or all of those. There is a rule on at least all the dive boats I've been on. I'm pretty sure once you have your first drink of alcohol, you're done diving for the day. So you could have a beer at 3 and hang out and look at the ocean, so it is really it's kind of a design your own experience. But the culture of the boat is for them to provide you ample opportunity to go to all different kinds of dives, different depths, different, aquatic life, different things of that nature. And, it's really, you get to talk to the people. It's a very in-depth immersion experience. You talk a lot to the people that are with you. You get to have good conversation because you eat all your meals with them. All your meals are provided for you. Your downtimes with them, I've learned so much because you're with divers for me who are so experienced, and I just watch them and I study them and I ask them questions. And most people in the dive world are amazing at telling you, oh yeah, I do it this way because da da da. It's kind of like being a physician again, like when you're a med student and you're like, well, why do they do it that way? And oh my gosh, he puts a central line in that way. I wonder why he does it that way, right? And just like this
Mhm.
curiosity of learning
Yes.
something new. And of course, it's very science-based physics. So, it's kind of up my alley.
Mhm.
So for me, I truly love the immersion experience of it. That might not be for everybody to be on a dive boat. It may be better to go to like a resort where you go out once a day and then you come back and that's all you do. But it's really, I think there's those experiences where if you set the intention and you go and you're like, I'm here to gain something and leave something behind. And when I come back, I will be a different person. It can be one of those experiences if you choose to set it up that way. That's how I approach it.
Can you give us, as we're going to come to close, I could talk about this forever. I just want to know, what are some of maybe 3 or 4 nuggets that you've gotten from the experience because like you say, the immersion, I know that's what you want. You want to not
Mm-hmm.
focus on anything. You're not on your
Mm-hmm.
phone.
Mm-mm.
You're not checking on the folks back home, which is part of the journey of the trust, right? And the overcoming of the fear that somebody has to have that they're not going to get ate up by a shark, or they're not going to be bit by, or got stung by a jellyfish, or you might get stung by one, or you may have a stingray come up. I mean, those are the things that some people's
Mm-hmm.
brains will go to. Like when
Sure.
you're hiking, I'm like, are there snakes? I know my brain goes there, much as I love animals and all things of life, but there's some hurdles you got to overcome to be able to meet the octopus and the turtles and all of that, right? And maybe that's nothing to you, right? You're like, I'm good. I know I'm going to do this, and I don't even think about that. So, what are some of or do you think about
Oh
it?
no,
And
I
you
think
just,
about it.
oh, right, because those are some of the things that people may say, well, I'm interested in scuba. I think scuba is
Yeah.
awesome. It is not snorkeling. This is truly deep, going down in the waters. What have you learned about it? Maybe 3 or 4 just take homes that
Mm-hmm.
someone who may be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about doing it needs to know.
Yeah. Um, One thing I learned the first year I went, uh, listening to other divers is I think every diver, and I would love to have had the option to ask my dad this because I never asked him this because I mean he had thousands of dives under his belt. Um, is that I do think that the week or two leading up for it, I don't sleep very well because I'm thinking about cases. I'm running scenarios in my head. What if my, I can't breathe? What if my regulator goes? How do I get Matt's regulator? Like, I think, it's almost like you're running a code in your head. Does that make, like, it's kind of
Mm.
how I process things, but I think it's a natural human thing because you are going to do something that's outside of your comfort zone as a human. And I think we need to talk about that, whether that's you're going to go hike a mountain, whether that's you're going to go give a talk for the first time somewhere, you're stepping outside of the realm of what you're pushing the edge a little bit. And there is, I think there is there's a humble knowing, it's even like in medicine, there's a humbleness of knowing what you don't know and knowing what you do know and knowing what your boundary line is and what, where you feel comfortable. It's asked of me to be a lot more, what's the right word? Authentic and real and speak up about what I feel good about doing and what I don't feel good about doing. Meaning in dive, in true scuba, in my opinion, when it's taught authentically, there's a rule. When anybody said we're going up, you're going up. You don't question. You don't sit there and go, let's stay a little bit longer. It's like this freedom rule that if you're like, I'm out, I'm done. And it could be
Mhm.
because I'm just done and I'm cold and I want to be done. Or it could be like something's wrong and we got to go. It doesn't matter what it is. You go. That I think is something that's been a freedom and like a true test, because a lot of times there was a few times truthfully where something wasn't just right. We weren't finding like our way because you have to navigate underwater a lot of times, right? Some of these dive boats have dive masters that go with you. Sometimes you're navigating yourself. and just being in that place of uncertainty and being like, okay, guys, I'm done. Like, let's go. And my sister, and we would go back and that has been a true learning curve for me because I think a lot of my strategy in medicine and a lot of my way of making it so far in my life was like, just don't tell anybody that something's wrong. Figure it out very quietly. Don't ask for help. Don't let them know that you need help. So I think that has been one of the true self-loving things that I've developed in that experience, which was a byproduct. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it was one of the beautiful byproducts for me of exploring that I think has happened. And also learning how to take care of myself going into something big. And you've watched me, Kayla's been with me all along this journey, the first year, versus the second year versus the third year, like, just the prep of like my family and all of the mental drama I would go through of like figuring out all my kids. And like the last time I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to go here. They're going to go here. This is very simple. This is very easy. And allowing myself to enjoy all of the process. And I think the last nugget I would say is whether it's scuba or not, but I'll just speak in the realm of scuba. I truly believe as humans, we really thrive, and it is medicine beyond medicine to be directly connected to God's creation. And when you are in scuba, granted, there's a mask in front of your face, but you are there. It's not like seeing it on TV. You are in the presence of these majestic animals. I mean, this last time we went, we were on a wall dive, and we're up over the top of the wall. And all of a sudden, this massive eagle ray comes up and over the wall. I still have chills. Like the energy you feel from this, it's just gliding and just floating in the water. It was the most beautiful thing. So for me, I'm experientially wired person. To be in the presence of something like that is worth it. And it is so exponentially, the word catapult comes to mind. It catapults you in this new version of yourself. It connects you deeper. You awaken in a way that I don't know if you can do just by journaling or at least for me, like I got to put myself in it. That's how I think everybody's a little bit different on that front, but I do think as humans, the experience as a human is mind-blowing, to be honest. And like I said, you could do that in all different ways, but when you can't talk down there, right? So you're only hearing your own breath. It's a very peaceful, and you have to really, I talk about breath work. I'm like, scuba is ultimate breath work because it's just you and your breath. You're controlling your buoyancy by your breath. You're controlling everything. And it really, for me, has also gotten me really in touch with understanding what it feels like to be in panic, and then to get myself out of panic, and then to get into ease, and then to get back in panic. Like you learn, and then you get more skilled at it, and you find this place where you can calm yourself even when you on the outside you shouldn't be able to calm yourself. So those are just some of the, I could talk for hours about it because I think my last piece that's coming in, sorry, one more.
Yeah.
I do think doing something as an immersive experience, whatever that might be for you, is also life-changing. Because like you said, we don't have cell service out there really. We can make a call back to our kids at night. We don't get on our phones. I don't get on my phone for a whole week. And it is the most amazing thing where you are just for me, it's like a hyper zone of scuba. And I think that hyper focus allows so much other stuff to kind of drift away, that when you come back to real life, you're not carrying as much baggage with you anymore. I don't know how it works, but I can just tell you I've done it a couple of times now, and it's been my experience every time.
I'm sure, because just the medicine of the water, just in a pool, for me, I feel lighter, I feel freer. I just float and have fun. So I might actually like to do that. Like, I wonder how much of it I would love.
You would love it. I think everybody would love it.
And once you get to experience it. So if someone's thinking about scuba, what are just one or two little things that they need to be able to do, or how they can get started in it? Do they need to be in a certain shape? Is there a weight limit? Is there, or is there anything that they need to do for their physical body to be able to withstand going on a scuba? Is there a
Yeah.
recommendation for them?
Um, the answer to that really, I mean, obviously you have to pass the swimming test, but you can swim any kind. Like you could just breaststroke, you could, it doesn't matter. I mean, it really isn't because
Okay.
once it's not as physically, it is physically demanding in one sense, but it's not as physically demanding as many other sports. I mean, it's not physically demanding as hiking by far, right? Hiking up a mountain is way more physically demanding than
Hmm.
scuba. But the first step I would say is just search for dive shops around you. Go in and talk to them. Many of them have like explore scuba day, or you can take intro to scuba class where you're not committing a ton of money. It's an hour class. You're in a pool. You can get a sense for whether or not it's something you really might like or not. And also you feel out the instructors of that because you spend a lot of time with your instructor. So you feel out your instructor of that. And there's kind of, every dive shop has different culture, different kind of, so there's no right or wrong. You kind of find the fit for you. Um, and I would say overall, you can gear your diving to what you physically want to do, right? So you can go on a dive boat that does more shallow dives in the 30, 40-foot range with little current, or you can be going into the Galapagos where you are going into, or like out on the Pacific and you're dropping, there's 500 feet underneath you or 1,000 feet and you have to maintain your own buoyancy and it's cold and there's current. So you can gear that to whatever fits you, right? That's the beauty of diving and the amazing part of our planet. There's so many different opportunities for different experience and different experience levels all
Mm-hmm.
over the world. So it's kind of more like it is really like what is it, the world's your oyster kind of comment. Like that really is what it is. And if it's something for you, I would just go in and meet the people and see and I encourage everybody to give it a try, even if you don't end up doing it, because just the feeling of floating in water and breathing is just such a cool feeling, even if it's in a pool.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cool. And just to be able to have the time, to have the investment money, to have the coaching that you need. So I'm just in here thinking you would be a great coach for someone who's trying to do it, who wants to do it, whose brain is freaking them out, so if you are interested in adventure, immersion experiences, you want to master your fight or flight, Dr. Roesch is your girl, and she will help you because it doesn't have to be scuba, like she said. It could be something as how do I navigate like what I went through, like losing my mother and transitioning out of my childhood home. And now another family member is passing and you're taking care of them. Here's another caregiving experience. Oh, and I'm moving again. Like I have transitioned a lot in my life. And there's fight or flight every time you are moving from something, from your own homeostasis of comfort into the unknown. And it could just very well be something that's simple. Or you decide you want to open your own business or, have another child after you've gone through something, turbulent. Or if you're an athlete, right, and you've gotten hurt, now you're going back out into the industry and you want to play again. What that mental hurdle is where coaching can help you. And
Yeah.
you're not meant to do this type of adventure alone. Like I said, we are like the Sam and Frodo of this all the books, all the movies. We have navigated the good, the bad, and the ugly
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the last one I'm going to say, every maverick needs a goose. And whether you are in the back seat or the front seat, you switch off quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
For sure. For sure.
It just
Yeah.
depends if somebody got your back or are you driving in the front, right? It truly is amazing. And I'm grateful to still have you in my life all these years later.
Mm-hmm.
So, the last question is what really brings you joy? Where do you want to end on the high note of what brings you awe? Because awe is really your magic emotion,
Yeah.
or joy.
You know, I think all the things I've mentioned bring me joy, but the thing that really brings me awe, like just takes me to my knees, like your heart's pounding, you have tears welling up, is seeing another human in their gift. Like last weekend, I went and saw a friend of mine play live music and just seeing her in her gift, hearing the guitar, hearing her voice, feeling the energy of like that true flow state, right? You know what I mean? Like it is the divine flowing through. There is just nothing like it to me. And it could be in anything. It could be an athlete. It could be, you know, there's this one store I go to and it's a cashier. She loves her job. And you're just like, you know what I mean? Like you just feel it in somebody and you're just like, that's it. Like that is it.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, I think that's why I do what I do. I think it's why I love being in the space. I think it's what drove me into family medicine too, like being in the space to have the conversation, to be with somebody who's like
Mm-hmm.
going for it, like just putting it all on the line, you know, vulnerable, willing to put it all out there and share that in their own way with humanity. When somebody's in that space,
Mm-hmm.
that just to witness that, that takes my breath away.
I've seen you in that energy. So, yes. So, all you loving humans that are listening, help Dr. Roesch feel good about life and get into your happy place. Follow, follow your dreams, get into the highest energy that you can be in, and say
Mm-hmm.
yes to more cool stuff. So, I'm grateful that you've been here today and thank you for sharing with us, and we're gonna close because like she said we can talk forever, and I'm just grateful to be able to share my gift and be in my happy place today. So I hope this makes you happy and
100%.
joyful, and everybody listening. So thank you guys, and until the next episode, have a blessed day. Take care.